This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
This table is really tilted.
Excuse me? Am I gonna get a chance to speak?
Maybe I should take that back.
Denied. Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Take a giant step for mankind.
Welcome to the Tilted Table with your hosts, Sean and Joe.
Folks, welcome to another episode of The Tilted Table, the internet's answer to a question that no one asked. I am Sean Kabibi.
And I am Joey Joe, the Fracky Mac.
And you can catch us on all the major social media platforms at The Tilted Table 1.
So like, subscribe, ring the bells, do the notifications, send us some notes. I think you can find us on Buzzsprout, YouTube, Apple.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, we're on Apple, Buzzsprout, YouTube. So yeah, you can always find us anywhere.
And definitely subscribe. Doesn't cost you a thing.
It doesn't.
It's free. It's easy. It's quick. And you would help me and the legendary Sean Kabibi out.
That is great. So what are we doing?
Actually, I'm pretty excited about this episode. So one of the things that Cookie gives me a hard time on is I think, and she's right, is I have been for many years the king of buying completely dumb, useless objects. And I'd say 99% of these dumb, useless, and sometimes very expensive objects make me really happy, and I'm glad I have them. But could I ever resell them or get any of my money back whatsoever? Probably not.
So these things have absolutely no value.
Well,
they have value.
Yeah,
they have value to somebody.
So it's definitely going to be in the eye of the beholder.
Okay, so but let's go outside of value. As far as like purpose, do they functionally do something?
Yes.
Okay, so
yes,
there is something that they do.
So here's an example.
Well, not all of them, because you told me about one thing. That doesn't do shit.
No, exactly. So I'd say, okay, so here's one thing, and I'm very happy with this. I bought it with a specific intent. Didn't even touch it or use it for like 4 years, and only in the past 90 days have I really started using it. So back in 2019, I bought the world's most powerful Bluetooth speaker, and it's from a company called Diamondbox. Shout out Diamondbox.
Okay.
And this was called the XL Retro. It's 1,000 watt Bluetooth battery powered boombox.
Okay.
It's got built-in crossovers, super hi-fi, at a 1 meter distance. If you put a sound test up to it, it's 122 decibels. An F-16 fighter at full afterburner on warm-up, I want to say, is like 115 decibels. So you were cranking out some huge sound, zero distortion. I was so excited. And again, for the last 4 years, it's actually been Cookie's side table next to the couch, where she sets her wine glass on, and actually hadn't played any music whatsoever. Okay. But whenever people come over and they see it, it's a definite art piece. It looks cool. I don't know anybody else who's ever had a diamond box and wanted to spend $2,500, not including.
Damn, that's expensive.
I know, dude. That's what I'm saying. Not including taxes, shipping, handling, processing, any of the fun fees. And after like 2 years of just staring at it and not using it, because we're very fortunate to have a lot of cool audio equipment, I just chalked it up as a really cool conversation piece. Okay. It's freaking heavy. I mean, it's like 70 pounds or something. So
damn.
If you want to carry it around, it's a boom box in that you can move it, but if you want to carry it, it's completely impractical.
Oh yeah.
But I have been since we turned our little.
Well, it's really impractical. We can go back to the early '80s where people were walking around with gigantic boom boxes on their shoulder.
But you see the old retro pictures of like New York City where they have the boom box on their shoulder.
Yeah.
No, this is gonna lop your head off if you try and do it. So I'm very excited, though. When I listen to my diamond box in the garage while I'm exercising, so does the entire neighborhood.
Okay, yeah. That's what they say. When I listen to rock and roll, so do my neighbors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in terms of like, the theme of today's episode is, dumb, useless things, that might have value to you, but probably nobody else, and you probably wouldn't go back and buy it. I'm going to throw my diamond box in that basket.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I have a product that I dealt with many years ago when I was in the prime of my playing. There was this device, and for the life of me, if I had to do some more research, I could probably figure out the name of it. But it was basically this device that claimed that if you plugged your guitar into it, as the intermediary from your guitar to your amp, it would make your amp sound like a Marshall stack or something like that. Mm-hmm. So for these people that don't know, when you have an instrument, there are top-end, high-quality professional amps, and people are familiar with Marshalls. Maybe with Mesa Boogie.
Right.
Orange is a real popular one, but they're really stupidly expensive. And when you are young and you don't have this kind of money...
Like, how much is expensive?
So a JCM 700, which is a standard Marshall, if you say a half stack, which would be one cabinet that has 4 12 speakers in it and a 200-watt head to power those speakers, brand new would run you about close to $2,000. Of course, you can buy a lot of this stuff used now for half that, probably even less. But let's take you back to the late 80s, early 90s, where we didn't have the internet. People were selling these things. It wasn't like you had easy access to thousands of people trying to sell off their old gear, which is common. Musicians are known to be broke and sell their gear. But if you were lucky, you might find a used one, and it would be, let's say, half that price. And now you're looking at about, let's say, $1,000. So they're expensive. But there's all these other brands that are functionally decent amps, and they're a lot cheaper. Crate was a real popular one. So you can get the same wattage, the same 412 cabinet, but it's not a Marshall. It's a brand is called Crate, and you could get that for probably the head and the cabinet for about $400 or $500 brand new.
Okay.
Again, catch that used, and even cheaper than that. Maybe it was a little bit more than that.
What does it sound like?
Yeah. Well, it sounds okay. So
you get what you pay for?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's like any other piece of audio equipment. If you buy a super high-end stereo, you're going to get a way better sound. If you buy a cheap radio stack stereo, you're still going to hear the same song. It's just not going to sound as good. So a lot of people, that couldn't afford these amps, the first move was to buy like effects pedals. And most, musicians have effects pedals, and hoping that if I buy a really nice effects pedal, which is a lot cheaper than buying a really nice amp, that I can somehow the effects pedal will compensate and I'll get a killer sound out of these amps. But anyways, the device I'm talking about was something like an effects pedal, but it wasn't. It was just a thing that you would plug in, and again, cord into that thing, and that
it's like a little dongle box type of thing.
And it was supposed to enhance the sound of your existing amp. And I got it, and I was sure that this would solve all my problems. Not problems, just wanted a better sound, and it did. It gave me a better sound. But it didn't give me any kind of like professional level sound like a Mesa or a fucking Marshall. And, it was, again, like you take a Pinto and put a fresh new fucking coat of paint on it. It still ain't a fucking Rolls Royce.
Unless you got it from Mako.
So, yeah, again, I try to, so you're talking about things that you bought that that you enjoy, and they have some kind of inherent quality to them. Where I'm trying to stay away from things that I feel like I got scammed out of something. I don't think I got scammed out of anything. I think it delivered what it promised. I think I was thinking that it was probably going to deliver a lot more, because again, like any other advertisement, turn your your shitty amp into a Marshall stack, right? And like, no, not quite.
Yeah, it's like something that was going to unlock an extra 2 levels of talent inside of you or something.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So, that's the first one that comes to my mind.
Well, one of my so we love to go antiquing. It's not something we do all the time, but it's one of the things that we love about it is it's completely random. You go to these stores, you're not looking for anything, and there's things that are crowded everywhere, right? So you got to look under things, on the top of shelves, behind shelves, and it's kind of like this mystery box that you get to walk into, which is exciting. Well, a couple of years ago, it's one of the more funny pictures I've ever taken is I found this faux fur long pimp jacket
Oh God. Why?
I know.
Come on.
It's funny because my sister-in-law was with us and I found it and I just started laughing and I put it on and I'm like, I can't leave this store without this. Like, this is going to take my life to the entire next level. And when I turned around on the shelf behind this fake fur pimp jacket, you know, back in the 20s, how ladies would wear hats.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there is almost like a matching white feather hat that went a little bit like more of like a kind of a Russian style white feather hat that went with this pimp jacket.
Nice.
And I'm like, well, if you get the one, you can't go without the other. And Cookie's like, please don't spend money on this. This is just absurd waste.
No.
What are you going to do with it? Are you going to actually use it? Are you going to wear it anywhere? The answer is yes, no, and no. It's actually resides in a black trash bag outside in a plastic container.
Yeah.
However, I have some amazing pictures of friends that, you know, after, you know, a night of hanging out and having cocktails and whatnot, I'll be like, hold up. I'll maybe be right back. And I'll put the white feather hat on him and make him wear the jacket and we'll take pictures. So
pimp.
I have an entire collage of friends that look like they're straight out of one of those like 70s blaxploitation movies.
Blaxploitation films. Yeah. Classic stuff.
So again, total waste of money. Doesn't make me happy. It is not worth anything at all. But the pictures that have come out of that purchase are priceless.
Well, it might be worth something to somebody if you had a time machine and went back to 1970s New York that they might want it.
I could fit right in, I'll tell you that.
I'll tell you something that I got once that I think falls into this category of absolutely useless. Somebody gave me a figurine called Mr. E.T., and it was E.T. with the mohawk and the gold chains. I pity the fool that wants to phone home or some shit like that. Okay. Yeah, I don't know where he got it from. I can't remember how long I even had it. At some point, I'm sure I got rid of it or I lost it. He thought it was a funny joke, and it was just this little figurine. I remember when I got it, I laughed. I thought it was funny, and I get the idea. But I remember thought, like, who the fuck comes up with this? And did they get the license to do this? Because this seems like an expensive license to get. Because I got two intellectual properties. I got Mr. T and E.T., and I got to combine them. And I'm not entirely sure either. You know, folks that own the intellectual property of this.
Does it count as Mr. ETT?
No, I think you could look it up. I'm sure it's got to be on the internet. I think it's just called Mr. E.T. Now, Mr. ETT would make more sense, but I think they don't want to confuse anybody with that.
Do you still have it?
No, I don't know what happened to it. I'm sure I tossed it. I have a bad habit of throwing shit away like that.
You're the person that, like, it's like if you haven't used it or touched it in the last, 12 months or something, it goes in the can.
Yeah, kind of. But I mean, something like that is, I may have had it displayed on a shelf, and then at some point I'm just like, well, look, it's got to be moved somewhere else or it's got to go because I'm tired of looking at it. I don't find it cute or funny anymore. I'll give you an example of how I operate. I have a friend that, Sergio, he's really into Funko Pops, and he collects the living shit out of these things. So I don't know if it was my birthday or Christmas. He gives me a Funko Pop from Office Space, Mr. Lumbergh, the boss.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's super cool. Like, well, right on.
Yeah.
So I took it out and I set it on my mantle above my fireplace amongst with a few other knickknacks I got sitting up there. And I had it up there for, I'd say, about a year, maybe a year and a half. And I'm just like, okay, I'm done with the Mr. Lumbergh Funko Pop. I took it to my classroom and I put it on a shelf in my classroom. Okay. So a lot of the things that I do have, I'll take them to school and I'll put them in my classroom.
Do your students know who Bill Lumbergh is?
No, they don't know that shit. Yeah. That's they're not into that stuff.
Funko Pop. That's one of those things. I have a handful of them, but people get really serious about them. I don't know if you ever go. There's a store here in town that's called So and So. It's a tailor, seamstress type of spot.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And when you walk in there, they've got to have like 300 of them or something on the wall.
What? Okay, wait. Are they selling them or are they collecting them?
Collecting them.
Okay.
And it's the owner. They own a chain of these stores, and it's like one of his passion projects. But he's like, I've overwhelmed my house with Funko Pops, and I'm like pointing around the ceiling, like, this is not overwhelmed. He's like, no, this is overflow.
Yeah, I don't. I don't really get the whole Funko Pop thing. But then again, I never got Beanie Babies or Cabbage Patch Kids or any other of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but they are popular, and a lot of them are worth money. I think again, we were going to fall back into the collectibles. You know, I think a lot of people like Funko Pops or buy them with some kind of expectation that at some point in the future they might be worth something.
Yeah.
I just don't know exactly, you know, how that works. Like, they seem to be pumping out Funko Pops for everybody. Like, if you are even a minor celebrity, there's a Funko Pop of you. So I can't imagine it holding value if everybody has one made. And you can go to the website and have one made of you.
I have that.
Yeah.
So. I had one. Yeah, I made it myself. Okay, so here's something. This is a new purchase of mine. It just arrived like 2 weeks ago. Like I was sharing with you before we started this. I'm on a fairly tight leash these days, and I'm not allowed to like be wasteful in some of my spending. But
Cookie seems to get upset at your late night, running around on the internet and purchasing God knows what.
I was gonna say, I think on Etsy I'm classified as a power user, which I have I have that listed on my resume under skills and accomplishments.
Nice, all right.
So I use some Apple Cash, which I don't think is real money. It is real money, but I just in my head it's not real money.
Why do you say it's not real money? I don't know shit about Apple Cash. Wouldn't it be just like Venmo or anything else that?
Kinda, but it's like credit card points cash that you rack up,
but it's backed by Apple, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like, why wouldn't that be any?
But it's not my money. It's like just money that kind of arrived into this weird Apple space that I use.
Okay.
Anyway, so I was like one night, a couple of weeks ago, I was playing around on Etsy and I found it's a fleck of material that's encased in a block of lucite. The fleck of material is called trinitite. Do you know what trinitite is?
I do now because you told me about it, but I would not have known prior to you telling me.
So my trinitite is from July 16th, 1945, which was the Trinity test of the very first atomic bomb.
So what we saw in Oppenheimer?
That was set off in New Mexico. So when there's super extreme heat, like extreme, like atomic bomb blast is pretty much the only thing that will do it. It can melt sand and turn it into like a glassy metallic substance that's called trinitite.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a fleck from the very first atomic bomb blast that's now sitting on the shelf of our little house.
Well, see, that's pretty fucking awesome.
I think
especially
it is.
Considering your background in chemistry and shit like that. I guess my question is that how when you say a fleck, like how big is this thing?
It's like a half an inch by half an inch.
Okay, so it's visible with the naked eye.
Yes, barely.
Right. Hey, do people sell shit like like fart in a can and shit? Right?
Yes.
Or like they'll have empty jar and it's air.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's let's say it's from some special place. I don't know. We could say like the air from Antarctica or something, whatever, or space or something, right? So it's something you can see.
You can see it, and I think it's really neat because you own a piece of history, and the company or whoever made it did a great job because it's like etched in the back of the lucite as an explanation on what is encased in the block of lucite, which I think is pretty cool. It's not like you just look and they're like, "Wow, what's that weird?"
Is it radioactive?
I don't know, man.
Well, if it is, I mean, is it enough radioactivity to be?
No.
Obviously, they wouldn't be able to sell it, right?
No, and I mean, yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. Is that was from the Manhattan Project, and it was a plutonium bomb. And do you know what the name of this bomb was?
Wasn't it? No, I'm thinking of the one that was dropped on Hiroshima. Little Fat Boy or little.
There's Fat Boy and Little Boy.
Little Boy.
The very first one.
I saw Oppenheimer. I'm sure they said it, but I don't remember.
So my little fleck is from the bomb that was nicknamed Gadget.
See, I don't remember that, so I would have never guessed it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think I understand the sort of it doesn't have any kind of function, but you're right, piece of history, and honestly, the atomic bomb it's pretty badass. I mean, that would you're talking about changing the course of history, and even today, like we deal with it every day. right? That we have these types of weaponry, right? And then it would functionally wipe us all out.
Right.
Right. So.
Yeah. It's funny. It came in a little cardboard box, and there's a very plain black and white label that's just taped to the top of the box, and all it says is atomic bomb.
Nice.
And part of me wanted to throw it out because like I don't need this thing. I have the lucite block that was in it, but I love the fact that now just if anybody comes over and they open up this random drawer, there's this box that just says atomic bomb.
They probably would think it's some weird sex toy.
We do live a very blessed life.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Leave a like on the video. I know you're enjoying this. Can you shut up?
The internet's answer to a question that was never asked. The Tilted Table with Sean and Joe.
Well, I got one for you. I'm going to go jump back into music. This is a product called GHS Boomers Sub-Zero. So GHS Boomers are a string, guitar strings. And the Sub-Zero line are sort of cryogenically frozen, strings that, I guess once they drop it to a certain level, and I don't know how low it goes, but the whole idea is just like this cryogenically frozen set of strings, and then they're slowly brought back to room temperature, and this somehow creates a string that not only sounds better but lasts way longer than any other string. And when I saw these, I was absolutely just bought and sold that these are going to be the greatest things ever. And I did buy them. I think I used them for a certain amount of time. And when I got old enough and better at guitar, where I realized that strings literally mean absolutely fucking nothing. The only advantage to certain strings is that when you're playing them, you're getting your dirt and oils on the strings, and that's what destroys your strings. Sub-Zeros were supposedly would last longer because of this freezing technique or whatever the hell they did to it.
Well, just the fact that they put the word cryo in the name of the product would totally sell me. Yeah,
right. And again, this is late 80s, early 90s. It's not like you could go on the internet and really check on these things. I don't think they sounded better. Did they last longer? Yeah, they did. But it's like driving a car running out of gas. Like, yeah, okay, I can get an extra 3 or 4 miles, but does it really make that much of a difference?
Right.
Typically, if you're playing professionally, you change your strings after every gig. Like, the biggest bands in the world, they never play the same strings twice. But, you're taking it to more lower levels. If you're playing regularly, let's say 3-4 times a week, or you're on tour, you're going to change your strings probably. I would change my strings probably every 3 gigs, and say, okay, you got to put a new fresh, strings on your guitar. And ultimately, it does sound better. You can tell a big difference between new strings and ones that are a little worn out. But yeah, ultimately at the end of the day, I probably got an extra maybe gig out of those types of strings.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but at the time, I really believed that these things were amazing. But yeah, okay. So I'm gonna pay a little bit extra money to get 1 or 2, maybe 2 more gigs out of it.
Was it like way more expensive than a regular set?
Not that much. Maybe $2 or $3.
Oh,
see, strings are cheap now. When I was playing back in the day, they were relatively expensive. A good set of strings are running, I believe, about $10. Now today you can buy a nice set of strings, especially like on Amazon or again the internet. There's so many places to buy these things. Especially if you buy them in bulk, you can get them for $4 or $5 a pack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's like one of those things I don't know anything about.
The Sub-Zeros were maybe like $12 versus like $9, and so it's like, oh, okay. But yeah, again, one of those things that, freezing these strings to whatever, I don't remember the temperature, I'm sure I could look it up, to whatever temperature they dropped them to, again, it's kind of nonsense. He's sort of useless.
Does it make you feel like Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat when you play on those?
No, and I'm going to say, and I thought about this because I had to think about it. I'm like, what were those things called? And I'm like, I thought they were called Sub-Zeros, and I just looked them up real quick. I'm like, yeah, they were Sub-Zeros. Either first of all, I never really played Mortal Kombat, so it wouldn't have been a thing to me, but I am very familiar with Mortal Kombat and the characters. Yeah, so the first thing I thought of when I'm just looking up right now, I'm like, okay, so, Mortal Kombat. I don't know if I thought about it during that time, and I don't know if it's because I really didn't play Mortal Kombat, so I just didn't make the connection, or maybe Mortal Kombat wasn't really, I don't know when it came out. Maybe in the arcades it was out.
90s.
Yeah, so maybe it just wasn't really out yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I would say this. So this is one that a large purchase. I want to say we spent like, I don't know, $10,000 on this. I did. Cookie found out after the fact and was like, "What did you do?" There's a company called Sonnets, and they are a sound company. They've got residential, marine type applications, and it's for speakers and amplifiers. And we put in our little backyard. I want to say we have 12 speakers and 2 subwoofers in our actually no, 14 speakers, 2 subwoofers in our backyard. And it was like, hey, you know what? If I'm floating around in the pool, I want to feel like I'm at the concert in the pool. It sounded like an absolute great idea to me. It's something, and I'm thrilled with it whenever we fire up the sound system, especially during the summertime. Yeah, it sounds amazing. But it's one of those things that really that it doesn't get used a lot. And I try and be mindful with the neighbors, if we are going to turn on some music that, it's, if they've got kids, that it's, something clean. And that's all the things that I didn't think about, whether it's volume or it's content or how many times a year am I going to run this system. And the fact that the amplifier is always on. I think we're on our 4th amplifier. Okay. And we've the first 3 weren't covered under warranty. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to take that back. The first 2 were covered under warranty. The next 2 weren't. So it's one of those, I could just drag that 70-pound diamond box outside and have also great sound. But yeah, I would say I love the Sonnet system. I'm glad we bought it. I don't know that I would buy it again. And certainly if I resold it and dragged all the wires out of the ground and everything, somebody'd probably be like, I'll give you $50.
Yeah, for sure. Right.
But it's cool, man. I mean, and if you're, I know you and I are both into music and quality. So their website's freaking awesome. Yeah. Sonnets.com.
Yeah. I'm always real skeptical of high-end audio equipment because I kind of view high-end audio equipment a lot like hard liquor. So if you get a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue, which I think is about $150 for that bottle of whiskey, and I don't know let's say the one below it, maybe Red, which let's say that's a $60 bottle, right? And then we can get to Rot Gut, Old Crow, right? Whiskey, right? I've always Kessler, right? Smooth as silk. Oh, shit. So when you get, and again, I don't know how many people listen to drink, like this, they would be able to I'd like a fine whiskey or whatever your liquor of choice is. But there is a clear difference between, let's say, Johnny Walker Red. I'm using Red. I'm not sure it's Red, but I'm just going to show it.
It's Red.
Okay, yeah. It would be about a $50 or $60 bottle, or maybe a $40, depending if it was on sale, right? There's a clear difference, and anyone can tell the difference between that and Kessler. I argue that between Red and Blue, now you're paying an extra $100. Is it that much better? So I think audio equipment kind of falls in the same category for me. There's a clear difference between shitty fucking equipment and good equipment. Now, when you get to the good equipment, top shelf equipment, is getting the superior new Ultra 10K surround, and that would be surround sound, would be mega 3D surround, all the bullshit that they claim. Is it really that much better? Is that a sound experience that much more noticeable to justify usually the price, right? So some people do believe that. My friend Kevin, I mean, he was obsessed with audio equipment, and he would buy all these fancy, things, and he would buy special editions of CDs. So if a band came out with a CD, he would get there's this special edition audio enhanced version to be used with this type of equipment. And we would sit there and he would blast. I think the one that he blasted for me, because I'm a big Joe Satriani fan, was Strange Beautiful Music. So Satriani releases his new album, and I got the CD when it first came out. I'm blasting it on my really good audio equipment, but not super superior audio equipment. and I'm just digging it. And then I'm going to his house, and he's just like, dude, I got the special enhanced version of the Satriani CD. And he throws it on the system, and it sounded great. Did it sound better than mine? I would say, yeah, it did. But does it justify the probably $1,000 more that he spent for all this, audio equipment? Sure, it sounded better than putting it on some fucking cheap Radio Shack CD player, right? But that's kind of where I am with that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, now that we've gotten down the rabbit trail on this specific topic, I just found that basically all of my crazy high price purchases, 95% of them are all audio equipment.
Yeah.
One of them was actually I have two here I can drop on. There's a French company, sound company that does like speakers, amplifiers, and whatnot called Devialet. Devialet, yes. Actually, I mean, this is back in 2017-ish. Cookie and I were in Paris, and with some friends, and we were only there for one afternoon. And so each person got to pick like one thing to do in Paris that was centrally located, that you got an hour to do whatever your one thing was. And my one thing is I wanted to go to the Devialet showroom.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right.
And if you look up, they have this speaker called the Phantom. And it is the world's most powered Bluetooth speaker. So the Diamond Box is unpowered. It's got batteries inside of it. So it's really cool. It looks almost like something that you would find in like an Aliens movie. It's got, I'm going to say like 100 and something patents on the speaker. It's composed of 1,431 individual parts.
Oh, wow.
It produces 60 kilograms of thrust out of its 8-inch woofers.
That's what they said about me back in the day.
It's friggin' awesome, dude. It's full power. It's louder than a jet engine on afterburner.
Oh shit.
And so I wanted to go to the store, and because I knew how expensive they were, and I wanted to listen to them in person. So needless to say, fast forward, we own two of them. Because as any good audio person knows, you need a left and a right channel.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, right? Most people would be like, oh, the one, it's in a small room, just one's sufficient. Well, one's sufficient, but two completes me.
Right.
Cookie, it's the funny part of that story is she listens to them every day, but on like a 1 setting, which is almost like whisper mode.
Sure.
Like if you walk into the room, you're like, oh yeah, I guess that's music playing in the background. It's that low. You're playing like low YouTube melodic lo-fi music on the world's most powerful speaker, and you can just barely hear it. Actually, I had to because it's I bought them out of a store in San Francisco. I actually had to sign a contract with them, which at the time I was like, that's weird. But it was like non-returnable, coming to you directly from Paris if you buy these. And yeah, man, it's for the theme of this episode on weird things that could I resell it? I guess.
Yeah, somebody would buy it.
But yeah. Anyway, I love me some Devialet. There's do you have anything like that speaker wise that you purchased?
No, but I'll tell you, I was just thinking when you were talking about going to the manufacturer or whatever, the showroom or whatever you want to call it. The only time I've ever experienced something where the audio and visual quality was by far would wipe out anything I've ever experienced would be the Sphere in Las Vegas.
I've heard that's awesome.
Now, if that thing costs like $1 billion, so I'm starting to think now, like, okay, maybe I should go back to my whiskey analogy. That between red and blue, is it really worth another $100? Probably not. But if there was $1 billion bottle of whiskey called, I don't know, Johnny Walker Ultra Triple Platinum, I bet you it would, right? It would probably be far superior than everything else. But I guess you have to spend $1 billion to get there.
Yeah, right. Well, it's funny because, like, I mean, again, it's it's funny. These are all audio things, but I bought a pair of headphones. I got a pair for me and a pair for a Cookie from another French company called Audeze.
Okay.
Audeze. Audeze. Audeze headphones are what many sound engineers actually use in the studio when they're doing like full production. So they've got like special magnets. It's called, planar. It's not like an actual cone speaker, but they're planar speakers.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It was the very first time I put them on, and I just, they're have a cable to them. They're not Bluetooth.
Okay.
And I put on just a random song. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like the Claritin commercial where it's like that veil gets lifted off of your eyes. You're like, this is
finally hear everything.
Yes. But do I like carrying around my 5-pound headphones if I just want to listen to something? Yeah. Nah. So it's cool. They came in a really cool, neat duster bag.
Yeah.
And they look awesome. But yeah, I'll just rock my regular Apple headphones.
Well, getting off of audio equipment, I just dawned on me right now. And I was thinking about, some of the dumbass shit I've seen throughout my life, or useless. I don't get useless products. There's things that are like, you're talking about, like the leftovers from the atomic bomb. This thing that has no real functionality, and whether it has any resale value is up to debate. Versus like something like, the boomers, which, again, is that an idea that they sort of create a mythology around a product that's it's so much better than everything else. And when you realize in hindsight, it's, it's a lot of, what they call it, a lot of sizzle, but not a lot of steak.
Yes,
that kind of thing, right?
That's a very well put.
Or even a straight out scam. Like, we see the stuff on TV, late night commercials, where like a sham wow, is it, really this amazing product. So this kind of falls into a category, I think somewhere in the middle. When I was living in San Francisco, so this would have been like 2001, 2002, a friend named Sandy, and she was getting married. And this is just, I don't know if they had just passed gay marriage or it was on the verge of getting passed. It was during that time frame. And she was marrying her girlfriend. And so she had this, they had the wedding, they had a wedding reception. And of course, it's this kooky kind of thing, it's a big LGBTQ kind of, everybody's kind of wild. And they have all these fancy things kind of going on that are out of the ordinary. One of the things that they had, and I'll never forget this, was they had pet butlers. So what this was is they had a bunch of dogs, and they were wearing like dog sweaters, but they weren't sweaters. They were obviously some kind of harness, but it covered their body, and on their backs was like these huge plates, plastic kind of plates, and they had like all the carrots and celery and dips and all the deviled eggs, and the dogs would just walk around, and you just off their back, and you did it, right? So, thinking about like something useless, first of all, this is stupid because I would assume that at some point, I guess depending on the dog, again, they hired a company. So these are probably very trained dogs that aren't going to jump up or, knock, throw themselves over and spill everything. But my first thought was when I saw this was like, that's one problem. Like, this seems like to be a bad idea, right? But again, if you have trained dogs, they'll come to you. They're probably walking around. They're easy to access, all this stuff. But I remember thinking to myself, going, that seems disgusting to me. Like, I don't need my food that close to a dog's ass, right? Like, that was my biggest issue with it, going, this seems very unsanitary. And I'm like, who created the pet butler? That's what they call them. I don't know if that was the name of the thing that's strapped to this dog, or if that's what they just called the dog itself.
Yeah, so it's called the dog itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say I'm pretty up on all kinds of weird and wacky pet things, and I've never heard of that.
You never heard of this?
No.
And see, the thing is, I don't know. Again, this was 20 years ago, so I don't know if this was something that was created by the catering company that they hired to. Again, and there was all kinds of kooky shit going on. This was just one of them, or if that's an actual thing that you can buy. I'm assuming if it's something that people are buying, that it's got to be available. And welcome to the digital age. I bet you if you go on Amazon, look up the pet butler, you're going to find the stam harness in a fucking tray that you can strap to your dog. And I guess have your dog serve your, your guests at the house.
Or not.
Or not, right? Can you just strapping that thing to a cat? That thing was just running around, shit flying everywhere.
It won't end well for sure.
Or the cat would just sit in a corner and just like, can I get like an hors d'oeuvre over here? And it's just sitting there licking his paws like, just ignoring you. Because it's like, fuck that.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of messes, this one popped in my head randomly is, and this goes back to one of our very first episodes that covered multi-level marketing. I did buy, I fell for the trap and I bought a Kirby vacuum This is like 20 years ago or something. And I remember I was like $1,000 for a vacuum cleaner. That seems really excessive. And they're like, trust me, man, this is the only vacuum cleaner that you're ever going to own. And did you know there's attachments on a Kirby vacuum cleaner that you can use to paint your house?
Shut up.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It comes with like this whole box and kit.
As much as Kirby people were wandering around my neighborhood, they never ever told me that. I may have bought one.
Right? Well, it's one of those things that it's not.
They really got to train their salespeople a lot better.
It was the classic, like, let's get some baby powder, put it on your carpet, and like, ooh, see how fast. There was one pass, and it took care of all of the baby powder.
They should have been outside painting my fucking house.
Exactly. If you would have said all of the other things, I'm sure it'd be a total racket. But
is that like a secret menu thing? Like, unless you specifically ask about the painting capabilities, they don't bring it up?
Probably, because who does it, right? But it even had like that little Wagner type of deal where you put the paint in and you hook the hose from and you could use it to do like trim boards or like do your door around your doors and whatnot. I don't know why you do it. But
see, now I'm starting to think that Kirby vacuums might be able to do other things that they don't want to talk about. If you put this attachment on, stick it down your pants. Hold up, bruh. This isn't going to make me buy a Kirby vacuum, at least not from you.
Well, it was funny because I think we only kept the Kirby. It felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I hated it.
Oh, those things are heavier than shit.
Yeah, like made out of cast iron and yeah.
But I mean, if you look like a Dyson, those are super expensive.
I love my Dyson,
and they're quality vacuums.
Super.
I had a Dyson for a long time. So Kirby, I always lean on Kirby as they were really great vacuums, but again, it's a fucking vacuum cleaner.
Yep.
And for the size and the weight of those things, like really,
and they're cumbersome and all kinds of But anyway, things that like that purchase I heavily regretted, and I regretted it like almost immediately.
Really?
But it's almost like buying a car at the dealership. Once you drive it off the lot, you can't give it back.
Right?
Like, dang it! I've got this stupidly expensive vacuum cleaner that I will never use. I literally gave it to the neighbor across the street.
Yeah, just give it away.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want this.
Yeah, that's that's common. I've given away stuff like that all the time. Yeah, just like I'm done with this.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people buy me like relatively expensive gifts that is nothing I want. Oh, thanks, man. And then within maybe days or weeks, I'm just like, hey, you want this thing? It's fucking nice. It's not something I want though.
It's still in the plastic, still in the box. Never open, man. Yeah, for sure. But I definitely enjoy talking about these things. Some poor financial decisions, some that we get to enjoy the fruits of, and others it's like, man alive, I was a freaking idiot.
Yeah, but I'm hoping that most people, that if they can relate to this type of stuff, most of the things they purchased, they probably got some enjoyment out of it, no matter how useless it was, or the fact that it has absolutely no resale value and it ain't going up in price anytime soon.
Nope. Kind of like my fleck of trinitite.
And also kind of like the tilted table.
Ooh, yes, we are climbing the charts. 1 second cousin at a time.
You may not be able to resell it, but it's enjoyable.
That is fact.
And it is also probably quite useless.
The non-genre podcast. You're welcome.
I have an important announcement for you, so stay tuned.
Yo, that's some next level shit, bruh.
So you got me. Big deal.
The internet's answer to a question no one asked. The Tilted Table with Sean and Joe.
Folks, thank you for joining us for another episode of The Tilted Table, the internet's answer to a question that no one asked. I'm Sean Kabibi.
And I'm Joey Joe with a Fracky Mac.
And we are going to go buy some useless products. What do you got in mind? I'm thinking of a pet rock, the go-to, the OG.
I'm thinking of a lifetime subscription to bungee jumping at a carnival. Completely useless and unwanted.
Folks, thank you so much.
Peace.